Hey, Raymond. By the way, my boyfriend does not think you're cute. He thinks you're an asshole.
Randy, you do have what it takes to become Ink Master. There you go.
Can you see me now?
Hey!
Oh, there we go. All right. How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for asking.
Good.
Yeah. We'll talk about your shop later and also the expansion and everything.
Cool, cool.
And we'll also, walk down memory lane and talk about Ink Master.
Sure, sure.
Mm-hmm.
All the fun stuff, right?
All the fun stuff, all the, the memory, the past.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the history, what went down in that season.
Right, right.
Yes.
Pretty crazy, as you can tell by Jim's his video.
You saw it?
Oh yeah, yep, I saw it.
And that's a lot of tea, huh? He spilled like tons of like secrets, tea.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of kind of generic stuff that happens that a lot of people don't understand that just happens with TVs, shows themselves. I had no idea what they were until I was on it. So yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, and when you watch it, they present us the story and what's going on. As a fan watching it, they just show you what they want you to see, not really what's on behind the scene, right?
Yeah, so the main thing is to keep in mind that it's a TV show. And I'm sorry, there's no TV show out there that is not planned. Everything has a plan. They have storyline producers. So the story, they create their own storylines and we just sit there and kind of follow along with it. So, yep, however they want to do it is how you see it, unfortunately.
Yes, and by the way, this is going on YouTube. I always say that. This is going to be a YouTube channel forever. So people can view this one, can view, what you're up to now and what you're doing now.
Sure.
So it's going to be good. Are you ready for this one?
Sure. I'm ready for anything.
Okay. Oh, yeah. I think you know the first question. What made you audition for Ink Master?
It was just kind of on a whim. I brought 3 other artists with me to Las Vegas to do an open casting call. And at the very end, right before we were going, I was like, you know what? It's a long shot. I don't even really want to go. They're like, the hotel is paid for, everything. So I brought a couple other artists with me and we went up there and did it kind of, I was half drunk when I actually auditioned for it. So, and all of a sudden it just kept coming more questions and stuff like that. So, but that's really it. I wasn't really planning on being on the show.
Wow. Did your friends make it in the show or?
No. They, one of them went to a video interview the following day, but they unfortunately they would have been great cast members, but yeah. Some of them were a little wild and cranky. Some of them were older and cranky. So, it is what it is.
Oh, too bad. That would have been good TV, huh?
I think so. But, it is what it is.
Yeah. Hopefully they can join next season.
Yeah. Well, this was 8 years ago, so they're probably done with the whole Ink Master thing. So.
Fine, move on. Next show.
Right, exactly.
So how was meeting the production, the judges for the first time?
Well, like I was saying before, we had a lot of interviews with the production company even before we got the official approval that we were on the show. So it was probably a good month and a half, 2 months maybe, of getting phone calls every day, sending them pictures of your outfits and kind of what medications you're on. They also make you go and have a psychiatric evaluation.
I heard.
For several hours. And so that was all intense just to even begin with. And then when you actually show up there to New York, actually New Jersey, but yeah, it was kind of anticlimactic. I mean, the people told you where to go, what to do. I think Jim mentioned we were sequestered in our rooms. They would take all of our information for, I think it was about the first 5 days. I smoked cigarettes, so I'd have to call every once in a while and have a production assistant come down and take me downstairs so I could have a cigarette, you know. But other than that, you were kind of like by yourself. Unfortunately, not a lot of the production staff, the camera operators did, but the actual production staff, they never had any tattoos. So they would just, you know, unfortunately, they just kind of treated us like anybody else and just kind of like, I mean, not unfortunately, but, you know, we were just a project for them. You know, they weren't friendly, but they weren't rude either. So it was interesting.
At least that's cool. And I heard from Jim that, you know, he's not really a fan of, like, you know, the judges and everything like that. And
yeah,
there's no like wow factor for him, or what do you call this one? Starstruck?
yeah. It was a little nervous when you were going. So I'll kind of paint the scene for you. You know, so we have no idea who was going to be on the show with us until the morning of the taping. And so we go down and we're not allowed, we see all these artists, but we're not allowed to talk to them. You know, everything has to be done on camera. So Jim mentioned hard ice and things like that. So we were on hard ice for the better part of, you know, 10 hours that day. And so we'd all hop into the van and we'd go 2 hours for the show to be taped. And then we're in a room for another 3 hours, just sitting there, not talking to anybody. It was really quite, I'm a talker, so for not being able to talk to anybody, it was a little unnerving, you know, for hours and hours. And then they would mic you up, you would go and meet the judges and then do that twice and then come back, wait some more hours. It's like a hurry up and wait kind of game. And so when you actually do go on there, that's the first time being filmed, that's the first time the taping, you don't know what to expect. So in that aspect, I was very wowed by it, you know. Than the production itself. Each individual person, not so much, you know. I didn't really know much about Dave Navarro other than he was the host on the show. And I had watched Chris Nunez on Miami Inc., saw Oliver Peck from the show. So I wasn't really starstruck with them. I was just more nervous about the whole, you know, walking up there, you know, being filmed. So yeah, it was interesting for sure.
And what do you call this one? And from in your season, right? You guys have like a small room compared to season 1. They have like a big room. They have like their own beds. In your
Oh, I don't know about that, but we certainly once we got our own shops or whatever, and we went to the loft to look, it was like, I think 14, 15, maybe even 16 artists, guys in one room. And then, you know, the girls, I think there was 3 girls there. They had their own separate room, of course. Yeah, that wasn't the nicest experience. I'm a bit older. At the time I was 40 years old and never had a roommate before. So it was a little odd, like sleeping right next to somebody. You know, and I'm a snorer, so for all the other artists out there that I went with, I'm sorry if I snored so loud. You know.
No wonder Kyle was sleepless, huh?
Yeah, that was for me probably, you know. But you know, they make you you're up so much and you're sleep deprived a lot of times that when you finally do get to sleep, you just crash out, you know. I mean, yeah, a bear couldn't have woke me up at some point, you know. They would do things like have the CO2 detectors, carbon monoxide test go off in the middle of the night to wake you guys up or wake us up, you know, to kind of get us off our game. So we're all very cranky and irritable. They would do things like get us up at 2 o'clock in the morning to put our clothes on to make sure we don't clash with the other contestants or whatever. It was just a bullshit tactic for them to get us off our game, really. So I didn't do very well with that. I like my sleep. I sleep a lot. So
and drama, right? To get more
exactly.
Yeah. By the way, how's that convention style that you guys did before gaining your shop?
That was a bit interesting. Hold on, I'm just gonna close the door real quick.
Sure.
My phone's calling. Someone's calling me. There we go. Sorry about that.
That's fine.
So that was a little bit different. I hadn't done many conventions. I'd only done a couple during that at that time. I actually had a bit of a problem because, and of course they're not going to air this stuff, but they couldn't get my computer working. I couldn't print anything out. I was literally just having to freehand any drawings that I do. And, you know, I'm more of a photorealistic kind of person. I use a lot of reference and stuff like that, but nobody was willing to fix it for me for that entire challenge. So, you know, when I say that I didn't do very well, sure, you know, I'll be the first to admit that I didn't do well on the show, but also there was a lot of contributing factors to that. And I don't want to make it sound like I'm making excuses, but it was a production's fault. If you can't make a stencil or you can't look at a reference, you know, in fact, the first contestant that came up to me, he wanted a realistic elephant, which is right up my alley. In fact, I went back and I did a redemption episode with him, and he loved his elephant, you know, and I could have done a great elephant on him, but I had no internet access. I had my own laptop there for 2 weeks, and they still, or it was at that point, I think it was about a week, and they still weren't able to hook it up to the printers or the internet or anything. And it was a MacBook. So whatever reason that happened, it happened. I like to think that some of it was done intentionally because they weren't willing to fix it. But it could have been, you know, it could have been just a fluke. But a lot of things kind of like this happened during the 4 episodes that I was on. So I firmly believe that they knew exactly who they wanted to win. I knew the minute going down there who was going to be the top 3. It was obvious. So at that point, I was kind of like at a loss. I did what I could do to give them some tattoos. Were they the best? Not at all. Not even close to being the best. But they didn't want you to say, well, hey, next time get me the internet access like everybody else has here. So they wanted to make sure that you didn't say anything like that on camera.
Wow, that was kind of unfair, in my opinion.
I feel like it was, you know. They also, you know, I don't know. Again, I think it wasn't a level playing field for sure, you know.
And,
so.
Yeah, sure. And my next question is, Ink Master Roll Call is where I say the name of everyone who is part of the cast.
Okay.
Season, the judges, and everyone, and you can say and tell me the first thing that come in your brain. Good, bad, ugly, different.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure. Sure.
The first one is?
Who's that? Damon?
Yep.
All right. So Damon was a super nice guy, very humble, which was unlike most of the other people that I was on the show with. He just wasn't prepared. He was pretty new at tattooing to begin with. And I feel bad that they put him on there, but they knew he was going to go home immediately. I mean, he'd only been tattooing for about a year.
Oh.
So, I think so. And so I feel like they used him as like the sacrificial lamb, you know.
Test everyone out, their skills, their capabilities.
Right.
But hopefully he could come back in the future and, you know, compete again.
Most of these artists I don't keep up with. I don't know what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. So I hope that he stuck with it and, you know, he could potentially, you know, do very well. He was, like I said, a super nice guy. I really, I liked him for the short amount of time that I talked to him.
Wow, that's what's up.
Right?
Cool guy, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Next one is?
Oh, Ashley. So, at the time, I was not a fan of Ashley's at all. I felt that she was very conceited. You know, there was lots of egos going on there. I mean, you could cut the egos in with a knife that was in my season. Some of them, rightfully so. Others should not have had an ego to begin with. But then after the kind of the show aired and you really got to see the real Ashley, you know, I really liked her. I actually tattooed a portrait of her grandmother on her after the show. And, you know, we haven't been in touch in a number of years, but, you know, I really liked Ashley, you know. I hope she comes back out to Arizona sometime. I'd like to say hi.
Aww. That's nice to hear. And
Yeah.
hopefully she comes back in the next season.
Is she planning on it? I don't know.
Hopefully.
Oh, okay.
You know, she'll kill it this time, you know. She's
Right.
more matured now. She's focused. Yep.
You know, the only thing that really stinks is that, you know, that she knew Oliver Peck personally. They did, I think it was a Warped tour together, something like that. And I feel like that if she hadn't have quit, she would have made it far, you know, because of that issue as well. If you're going into a competition, if the competition is fair, you know, the judges shouldn't have any idea who you are, you know. And unfortunately, they had a rapport. It's just my feeling, you know. Maybe, you know, she'll probably say that this, you know, judging had nothing to do with it. But, you know, it doesn't look very good for something like that. So we know nothing about the artists. We know nothing about the judges, you know, but during that process of getting hired on to do the show, they do background checks and things like that. And the judges learn to know who you are, you know. So, and there's a reason for that. I'll give you an example, and I'm sure Dave Bell is coming up really quick. You know, they said, "Oh, we know you're the OG. You know, it sucks that we have to do this." Well, how do you know that he's an OG if you never did your background research on him prior to the show? You know, so there's a lot of inconsistencies there. But again, it's TV. It's planned out. I want to make sure that they understand that it's not. What you see is not reality TV. It's not real.
Not 100% real.
No. Right. I'm sorry. Oh, Dave Bell. Okay. Me and Dave actually hit it off really well when we were there on the show, when we were filming. He definitely had some issues going on, and I'm not at liberty to say what those were, but you know, even a little bit afterwards, we were in contact for a little while, and I think at one time he was down in Tucson, which isn't far away. We just never got the chance to meet up and stuff like that. But you know, if there was a guy that was, you know, that I could talk to, it was Dave. You know.
Wow.
I like Dave. I still like him to this day. I just don't. I unfortunately don't know where he's at.
Wait. How was that, what do you call this? Tarantula photo shoot that you guys did?
Oh, yeah. So that show or that segment, that challenge, wasn't as bad as I think people made it out to be. They did have us in these rather large, like, kind of pins to keep the tarantulas in, so they weren't getting out. And we had enough zoom lens where we didn't have to get up so close to it. I am not a spider person. I am the hell out of there. So I used a nice zoom lens to get the picture that I needed of the tarantula. So, and then unfortunately, halfway through tattooing it, my power supply took a crap on me, and it took another 20 minutes to get another power supply. And of course, you know, that affects you know, how long you can do the tattoo. I will say this, the judges said it was fuzzy, and I'm like, out here we have lots of tarantulas and they're all fuzzy, so I'm not sure exactly what the judges were talking about with that. It is what it is, you know. This is the theme of today's episode, is it is what it is.
It is what That's right. And I remembered what you said in the first episode. You said that you guys were tattooing nude people.
Mm-hmm.
You got the girl, the one with the book.
Sure. Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I tattoo every different body, every
Mm-hmm.
different, all the time. So it really had no bearing on me. I was engaged once, I was married once. Like, so it really wasn't that big of a deal to tattoo a nude girl, I'd have had more fun tattooing one of the guys, but they were a little on the stinky side. So they kind of had a little BO. So it was okay that they were, it was okay Jim was tattooing them at that
Mm-hmm.
point.
But I think the production planned that for you,
Oh yes. Oh,
right?
absolutely. Everything is planned out from the way that the place that we sit to the place that we stand. Nothing is really left up to chance when it comes to something like that. They wanted a bigger reaction from me, and unfortunately, that's the part of the show, like, that really got to me, is they kept saying, Randy, we need to see the real you. And I'm like, you see the real me. But
Mm-hmm.
they wanted me to queen out, have this drama filled, and I'm just not that way. So I think that's one of the reasons why I was kind of off there pretty soon, was that I just wasn't giving them what they wanted. I wasn't going to come out there in a feather boa and high heels, and I let them have it a little bit when I left, but that's because I was so pissed off.
Mm-hmm.
So
Going to talk about that later.
yes.
Next one is
Roland. I like Roland. He actually has been out a couple of times. Him and Bubba, that was on the show with me, they kind of would hang out. I took Roland and his lovely wife to the zoo here and had a great day. And he's a super nice guy, and I don't really have anything bad to say about him. He's he has a different style, I would say, than a lot of the artists that were on the show. And unfortunately, the 𝚬𝚘𝚎𝚘𝚗 was one of those things where he just got a super bad rap from that. But as a person, I really like him, and and certainly his wife too.
just not
So
the cat.
yeah, pretty much just that.
Just the cat, just not the.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you're breaking up just a little bit, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear that, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, the
Mm-hmm.
𝚬𝚬𝚜𝚗 was not his finest work for sure.
Mm-hmm. Because it's stressful, and with the cameras, convention stuff
Hmm.
like that. Oh my goodness, I
It
would.
was very stressful. Yeah, and it was all a surprise to us as well.
Mhm.
Nobody knew that this was happening until the day of. So usually when you go to a convention, you know that you're going to a convention. Usually if you go to a convention, you don't tattoo as many people as you possibly can. You tattoo the quality artwork. So it was a little fudge from production, but again, it is what it is.
Well said, by the way.
Yes.
Next one is
Oh, Mr. Keith.
yes.
I didn't really talk to him much on the show. He was a little different. I know that he was very stressed about his family and his kids, and rightfully so. It was a very stressful situation to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I mean, I really don't know much about him. We didn't really hang out at all. So I'm sorry there's not more goodies there, but
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. It's okay. Next one is
oh, Bubba. So Bubba lives right here in the valley.
Ooh.
And I'd been to his shop, and we'd hung out for actually quite a bit during the season, during the airing of the season and stuff. We'd have parties and stuff like that. I haven't talked to him in a couple years. He's kind of doing his own thing since him and the other guy won. I know he's opened up a couple shops, which is great for him. But I don't know. We just kind of lost touch a bit, and But you know, I'm definitely glad to see he's gotten much better since the show, which I think all of us should. It's been 8 years. So you know, I'm glad to see that he's still progressing. I think some people are still stuck where they were 8 years ago. So to see him, you know, doing really well, you know, and learning and picking up from people, I think is a really good thing.
And by the way, did you see his season 9?
No, I think I met him once at a bar and we watched it a little bit, but you know, I don't know. Once my season was over with, it kind of lost any of the, you know, it's like, you know what's going on, you know that it's not real, so it kind of just doesn't do anything for me.
No more what's it called, this, like the magic, the
yeah,
the
of... I did it to support him, but quite frankly, could give two shits about Ink Master at this point.
What is?
Oh, King Rock.
Yep.
Well, you know, funny story is, you know, they actually tried to pit me against him when we were doing, I'm not sure if it was the first or second challenge. And he did a wolf, and the mouth was a little crooked on it, and so on and so forth. And they kept saying, you know, well, who should be down here if it shouldn't be you? And if you listen to it, I actually said King Rock because I had no idea. You know, I didn't know much about him. We'd only seen each other literally and talked to each other for within a few days of that time. But since then, I've seen him at conventions, and you know, I love the kid. He's a really cool guy. He works in Vegas, which isn't too far from me. And even though I've not been able to see any of his shops, I don't get up there very much anymore. But you know, he's a super nice guy, and we always have fun when we're at these conventions. So yeah, I can't say anything bad about him either.
That's cool. That's cool. Next one is?
Oh, Jim. So Jim and I, once we left the show, we actually became pretty close at one time. We were doing lots of conventions together and things like that. And I don't know, just I think a few years ago, he invited me to do this other kind of a show thing that just didn't work out, and I got drunk and a little belligerent, and all of a sudden I haven't heard from him since. So you know, unfortunately, that's the way it goes. But you know, we actually did quite a few conventions together, and but I wish him the best of luck in his endeavor. I think he's got a new wife and stuff like that. Yeah, unfortunately, it's sad. I don't know why he just kind of wanted to stop talking to me, but it is what it is.
Yeah. Adulting, you know, we're all busy now. We're doing
exactly.
And actually, this is my only pastime, you know, doing vlogs, the work. Yep. So we're just adults. That's why.
Exactly. You
right.
know, I don't wish any of them bad feelings, you know, hard feelings or whatever. We just do what we do. We concentrate on our own stuff, and that's the way that it should be.
Positive vibes, right? Positive.
Exactly. Exactly.
Are you ready for the next one?
I'm scared, but go ahead. Oh, Kyle. Oh, man. You know, and in fact, I think I've got another vlog going on with him in the next couple of weeks. I love Kyle. He is crazy as hell. But I've had him and his wife and his kids. They've actually come out here and stayed with me for about a week and stuff like that. And I guess he was doing some guest spotting over at Bubba's shop or something like that at the time. But we always have a blast when we're at a convention, and you know, you just got to tell him, slow down a little bit. I can't understand. You know, I can't understand. My brain doesn't work as fast as yours. And but he's cool. I love Candy, his wife. She's an amazing individual. You know, Kyle is very intellectual. And when you hear him and you listen to what he's saying, he actually makes a lot of sense, as crazy as it sounds. So, but yeah, I can't wait to see him again at the next convention.
Yes, and did you see the episode when he fought with
Oh yeah,
with
I saw it. I wasn't
Chris?
there, of course. The filming was, I was done and off the show. But yeah, at the time, I was really hoping that Kyle would have knocked the shit out of Nunez. He'd, you know, again, emotions were really high over there, you know.
Mhm.
But maybe it's better that he didn't. You know, I don't know. Jim was mentioning some sort of conspiracy theory about whether it was real or not, and he might know about it more than I do. But I don't know. I saw the look in his eyes, and I thought, man, like he really wanted to go after him. But keep in mind, there's production everywhere around there. Nothing would have ever happened, even if he did. But there's security guards and all that around them. So, and I think we all felt that way, you know. There was a time when all of us artists refused to go on stage or on the set. They were, so a little bit kind of backtracking, we had production assistants that would be carrying our laptops and our computers and stuff like that from site to site. They did not want the artist to do it. Well, when we would get to those sites, the production assistant would just throw our stuff down. And I even had a laptop that was dented. They totally destroyed Kyle's Wacom tablet, which 8 years ago was super expensive. And it took us not going on set to be able to talk to Andrea Richter, who is I think she's one of the producers, executive producers or something. So we're not going to go out there until you compensate for us this, you know. And so they finally did, and that's, you know, they said, well, we'll give you your phones back a little bit more often. We'll fix your laptops, which I never got mine fixed. And but there was that kind of animosity towards the show and the production staff from day one of filming, you know. And so I can see that kind of bubbling over with Kyle into listening to, you know, Nunez talking his shit like he normally does. So, you know, I personally, I could see it being real, you know, but that's just me.
Yes, in my opinion, it looks real. Just
Mm-hmm.
Will Smith and Chris Rock's moment, right?
You think that was real? I think
Yeah.
that shit was faked. I think it was fake completely.
Why?
If you look before he even raised his hand to smack Chris Rock's head was already turning. So I'm like, eh. And Chris Rock's his career was not doing so well at the time. So yeah, but it is like, I think that, you know, no bad publicity is better than no publicity at all. So,
Wow.
but
Perception of what happened. Mm-hmm.
mm-hmm.
Wow. But it looks really real, in my opinion.
I think so. I mean, as far talking about Kyle, absolutely, you know, and I don't blame him. I wanted to do that all 4 episodes myself. Not so much anymore, but you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That.
definitely, yeah.
Next one is.
So I don't know much about Lydia,
Mm-hmm.
but Lydia is a pretty badass. I follow her on Instagram, and she does a lot of some cool shits. I like guns myself, and even though I don't do the kind of competitions that she does,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I give her a lot of credit because it's difficult. I think that her tattooing, once she kind of went over and started working with Halo, which I'm not sure if she's still over there. I think she is. I think her tattooing, you know, became immensely better. You know, maybe not the technique, but maybe the styles and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So really, Um, you know, again, I don't know her all that well, but what I've seen, she's a pretty badass chick.
Yeah, she made it pretty far, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Absolutely.
next one is, wait, let me see.
Channel J. Oh my God. So listen, Jay is about as mouthy as somebody can be, right? Mouthy. But he's real, you know? He's not, he lets you know if he's pissed. He lets you know if he's happy. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you don't have to second guess what his thoughts are, what his opinion, what he's feeling at that point. So in that respect, I give him a lot of credit, you know? And you know, again, a lot of these artists, I wasn't on the show for a very long time, so it's kind of hard for me to go in depth with them. But you know, that was one of the things that I liked about him. I don't feel like he should have probably gone as far as he did, based on his tattoo work. But hey, he knew how to play the game, so I can't be mad at him for that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
he was out there, and that's what they wanted. So again, you know, more power to him. Like, way to go, Jay.
Yeah, and he created like this issue with Scott, with Scott's work.
I wasn't there at that time,
Mhm.
so I don't really. In fact, the little bit that I saw was watching your podcast with Jim. So I
Mhm.
can't comment on that at all. You know, I do know as artists we all use reference.
Yeah.
Um, so um, you know, unless we specifically say, "Hey, we did this. This is a complete custom piece." I think that any reasonable person would know that we used some reference from it, you know. So again, I wasn't there. I don't know exactly what happened,
Mhm.
um, but yeah, I mean, everybody uses reference. So
Mhm. And you're right. Everyone uses reference, you know.
mhm.
And we've talked about it before. The judges talked about it. We have to use reference.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And by the way, I was curious. How was the opening, guys? Did you guys shoot that before the actual tattoo, actual convention, actual elimination? The
The
opening.
only the only thing that we filmed prior to that
Mm-hmm.
was the entrance when we came into the big hall and saw the artists, or saw the judges. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the rest it was filmed the day after, I believe.
Oh, the opening credit when you guys did
Right.
this
Oh no 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 no! Oh, the hero shots they called them. No, that was I think that was about
with the music.
the maybe third and fourth episodes, maybe second and third. Those hero shots they called them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that was really interesting. That was done in downtown New York with the security and everything. That's the only day that I truly felt like I was somebody. The rest of the time,
Mm-hmm.
the production staff just treated you like shit. So
Every time I watch Ink Master, I don't skip the opening. You know, it's like the
yeah.
thing ever.
They wanted me to do some fucking crazy shit. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not me. And this is why they were trying to get me off, you know. They wanted me to, you know, fucking use some jazz hands or something. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
bullshit, that's not me, you know. So whatever they did get was about as much as I gave them, you know. So unfortunately with that part. And of course during that like media day and stuff like that, we had lots of interviews. Um, Everybody concentrated on the fact that I was gay. I could have cared less. Like, it really had no bearing on me whatsoever. But for the show itself, they wanted to bring that out, and I think that's pretty shitty, especially when they were calling me the confident queen, which is a derogatory term, I think, in my term. But you know, and that you'll see it in a lot of the editing and stuff like that, that they keep trying to bring that out. And unfortunately, that's just not me. You know, I like to go out and four wheel. I like to go and shoot guns. Yeah, I do like to, you know, go shopping and stuff like that and have nice clothes and whatever. But, you know, I'm not some kind of far out queen that walks around in high heels and a feather boa. So, and I'm bringing that up because every time we went to an interview upon interview upon interview, that's what they kept talking about, bringing up the fact that I was gay and that gay. I could give two shits about that point, you know. And unfortunately, because they made it a big issue when I was kicked off of the show, you know, a lot of gays started throwing shade my way, saying you did us a disservice. And I was like, first of all, I didn't go on the show for you guys. I did it for myself. Second of all, what you see isn't real. They make this storyline. There's literally storyline producers that do this. So I've never cared. I mean, my business has always flourished. I've always been busy. It was never a fact of me being gay that made it you know, difficult by any means. But they would ask you these questions. You know, you're sitting off, the camera is facing you, and you have an interviewer that you don't hear. He's interviewing you, and then they take those clips and turn them around and whatever. So unfortunately, even that, when you're just sitting there and you have a green screen behind you or whatever, it's not real. It's what you see is not real. So
wow. We'll talk about it more later. That part of the show. Yep, of you.
Sure.
Next one is
Melissa. The only thing that I know much about her is that she is an animal lover, and she loved to do that. She was very low key while I was there on the show. She didn't try to start any drama or anything like that. She just was there and trying to do good tattoos. And so I'm glad to see that she got as far as she did on the show. I think that, you know, she deserved it. That was probably maybe the realest reaction or person that you see there. But I think that's why also that there wasn't a lot of her being, everything's filmed, but they didn't show her as much as I think they should have, because she just was drama free. You know, she liked animals and she liked people, and that was it. So
that was cool, huh?
Yeah,
She was really cool and very chill, low key.
Yeah, just low key, and I kind of liked her. Again, most of these artists I wasn't around for a lot, you know. So I don't really want to speak to anything else that happened to them on the show, you know. But from my own personal experience, she was a really nice girl.
Wow, that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
Next one is
Halo. So Halo, I think flat out Halo should have won the whole thing. He was, to me, was one of the only true artists that could draw, could paint, could do that type of things. You know, it was just left up to the judges. Of course, they decide who they want to go with. But seeing what he's done, seeing the stuff outside of just tattooing, I feel that he was really shafted on that. I don't know if there was any other kind of communications and stuff like that with production after I had left. But if they're truly, and they're not truly looking for an ink master, they're truly looking for a TV show. But if you were basing that off of an actual tattooing guy that can tattoo anything from portraits to neo-traditional to traditional tattoos, he's the guy that could do it. And when I was saying before that you have to use reference, Halo doesn't have to use reference. Halo can do and draw that shit right out of his mind, whether it's cartoony or not. So yeah, I don't know Scott. I've never met him before the show. I never met Halo, never met Maddie. I did make Sausage once or twice, you know, but just based off what I saw for the 4 episodes that I was on, I think Halo, if he didn't win it, he should have at least been in the top 3. So there must have been something else going on behind the scenes that I don't know about. Unfortunately, but I've met him. I've hung out with him a few times, a few other conventions, and It was really nice. I got a few shout outs for some of the tattoo work that I've done, and so that made me feel good from somebody who is, you know, I feel like as good as he is, and not just that one medium of tattoos, but all mediums, you know. Anyways, but that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
I'm surprised because you and Jim had the same, you know, opinion about Halo, that he should have won the competition.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the people. I'm gonna walk with you outside. I'm gonna smoke a cigarette. How about that?
You know, this is a safe space. You can do whatever you want while we're chatting.
Oh yeah. I just yeah. But it's pretty neat. I think Halo deserved more than what he got. If he, you know, if there was something else that I didn't know about,
Mm-hmm.
then you know, then that's fair. But from what I've seen, he has you know, he showed a lot of talent there.
Wow.
Anyways, sorry. All right, so we're talking about Maddie.
Yep.
Again, you know, I didn't talk to him much. He is fucking hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
He was definitely the funniest guy that was there on the show. He liked to have a good time, you know, and as I think all of us did. And again, I haven't talked to him since or whatever, but whatever is going on in his life, I'm glad to see that he's doing well, or I hope he's doing well, you know. So, yeah. Who's the next one? Who's the next one?
Is I think you know who's the next one.
Sausage. Yeah. So Sausage and I, at the time, we both worked at the same tattoo studio called Club Tattoo. And he worked in Vegas, and I actually worked in Scottsdale, Arizona at the time. Did not know really until about 2 days before that he was going to go on the show at the same time as I was.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know much about him other than I would go to Vegas, kind of sub in for him when he wanted to go on vacation or maybe go to a convention or something like that. So I know that he worked on some of my friends. He initially was down here in the Phoenix area.
Mm-hmm.
He's worked on a few of my friends, and his work is really clean. And you know, but as a person, I don't really know too much about him. You know, you know. So I know that now he's doing very well. I think he owns Revolt or something in Las Vegas. You know. So, hey, can't beat it.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's actually he has a good edit in the show. A good guy edit.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't think he's definitely a bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I certainly think that there is a little bit more to him. Like, he's not as, you know, this dumb, humble, like, just super nice guy that, you know, people always think about. I think he's very calculating, and he knows exactly what he's doing when, you know, so and I think he knows how to make those impressions of whatever impressions you want of him. If he needs you to really like him and think he's this wholesome guy, he will make that happen. You know, if he wants to sound like a jerk, he can make that happen too. So
Basically, he's good for reality TV.
absolutely, great
Mm-hmm.
for reality TV. Great for reality TV. So
And the last one is
Scott. All right. So again, I don't know Scott. I don't know anything about him. I'd met his wife a couple of times
mm-hmm.
through conventions after he passed away. She seemed very nice. But I really knew nothing about him and not much on the show. You know, I think he was going through a lot of shit on the show as well. And, you know, he was, you know, he was definitely not a bad tattooer. Do I think he should have won it? No. Could he have been in the top 3? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I will say this, the judges would judge him differently. I think probably a lot of your other artists that you've had on here will say the same thing. There are definitely things if you did something the same way that the other artist did, they like the other artist, they're going to praise him for it. If you know, if they don't like you but you did the same thing, they're going to talk shit about it. So I feel like they knew that he was going to, from day one, I think they knew that he was going to win it. So I think he was cut a little bit of slack compared to, you know, some of the other artists.
Wow.
Not to say that he wasn't a bad artist, but you know, I firmly believe that that they knew that they wanted him to win. So again, it's all of my opinions. I'm probably gonna get hate mail for this too.
And by the way, speaking of the final 3, how was the live finale?
Well, I can't stand the production staff. I think the whole production was a farce. Again, they make it how they want it to appear. It was not, yeah, it was live, but everything was definitely like set up for it as far as the what questions were going to be asked, who was going to ask the questions. Basically, they told the other people just to shut their mouths and not say anything. And then, you know, the production staff was actually horrible. I was about ready to just walk off the set, to be honest with you. I was so infuriated. So, yeah, you know, they don't need to talk shit. They're supposed to do their job just like we are. But, you know, when they were going through the run-throughs, you know, some of the guys that were standing in for the actual judges were actually quite jerks, and I can't stand them. And they did nothing about it. You know, that's the thing, you know, here's the thing. All we are a commodity to them, to the production staff, to Original Ink, to Andrea Richter. They could give 2 shits about us, you know, and that was one of the most disappointing things. I'm not expecting them to, you know, bow down and, you know, whatever, but have a little bit of respect, because they know that this can be hard, but they don't give a shit. Not at all. It's just production. That's it. So, quite frankly, I was over it. I did go back and do 2 redemption episodes. The last one, I said, don't ever fucking call me again. I'm not interested in doing anything with them at all. So, and luckily they haven't. So,
and that's number 1, respect.
Yeah, they have 0 respect for anybody that comes on to do that. You know, it's a very difficult thing. It was very difficult for me. I've had lunches with Michigan Supreme Court justices that were not as intimidating as going to do this thing. So, you know, and it's sad because we're the ones that made them millions. And, you know, oh, well, it's going to help your career. No, it doesn't. You know, my personality helped my career. Me taking good care of clients has helped my career. The show, you know, it got me to go on a few conventions for free, and that's pretty much about it. So, you know, again, it is what it is. Am I glad I did it? I can say yes. Am I glad I'm never doing it again? Hell yeah. So. And I've been approached by different other channels to do some other, like the Logo channel and stuff like that, to do some series. It's just not me. I don't want to be in front of the camera like that. Even now, talking to you, it kind of gives me high anxiety. So.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I'm offered to do it. You know? You know, but it's one of those things where you can say you're glad you did it, you just don't have to do it anymore.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be on YouTube. So.
Right. Exactly.
And by the way, the live finale, how long was that? Was that like a whole day thing?
So we were there for about 3 days. we were there for about 3 days, and the first day, it's been 8 years, so forgive me. The first day we went into rehearsals or whatever, and then they told us where we were going, where we were sitting, so forth. And then the next day in the evening, you know, they ushered us in. We had a little bit of free time, which was nice. We got to explore, you know, and then the next evening they brought us over there, and you know, at least as far as what you see, what you get when what you see is what you get on that live finale, you know.
Wow.
We weren't, only a couple people were allowed to ask questions, and we just basically sat there. It was a big waste of time for most of us that were there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you know, because as a fan watching it, you know, it's just what do you call this? Contracted to 40 minutes, but it's actually 3 days. You said.
Well, travel day was 1 day. Then there was the actual time of the filming was the 40 minutes or whatever that was on there. But you have to get in place. You have to do all of this stuff. So it wasn't as long as maybe I had made it appear to be. But we were there for about 3 hours the day before for rehearsals, and then we were there about 3 or 4 hours for the actual show itself, the taping.
Wow. And that's harder, right? Because it's live, you know. Even like the judges, they have to critique, they have to think quick, right?
Yeah, I can't tell what the judges were doing. You know, again, it's TV, so I'm sure they already had seen the pictures and the people, and I wasn't there, so I can only, you know, I'm just guessing at this point. But, you know, as far as the most of us contestants, all we had to do was just sit there, so it was quite boring. You know, we got a free trip to New York out of it. How about that? So can't beat that.
That's good enough, right?
Yeah. So.
And by the way, speaking of the final 3, I think Matty. Wait, can you see it? Oh
yeah.
It's so gorgeous. Oh my goodness, so good. Matty's.
Yep. I mean, they're all good tattoo artists.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I hope that that's not what it's coming across. I think the top 3 were very, very good, you know, at what they did. You know, I just feel like, you know, Halo should have been up there as well. You know, because of his well-roundedness. You know, so I'm not taking anything away from Sausage and Scott and Natty. They're all just really good tattoo artists.
But in your opinion, it's supposed to should be Halo.
Well, yeah, if it was based on a real competition.
Okay. Wow.
If it was great, yeah. So there's a lot of different factors, though. You know, there's, you know, the judges are doing what they're supposed to be doing. They have little earpieces in there, so they're not, you know, they're doing what the control room is telling them to do. So
they were doing this.
Oh yeah.
Right. I saw it.
Well, yeah. It was good when they would go like this. You know. So I guess it's sounding like I'm talking a lot of trash about the show, and you know, while I was on there, I did not have a good time, but some good things really came good from the show itself. You know, yeah, I do get a few clients in from them, but the best thing is the fact that me and Chris didn't get along very well. At the time, I was very bitter. I mean, he acted like a jerk to me, but I know it was to get my goat. You know, he did it on purpose. They wanted them to, you know, get on me. And because of that, every time I do a good tattoo, I think, fuck you, Chris Nunez, you know, well, look at this, you know. And so it pushed me all these last 8 years to become a better and a better tattoo artist. And so in that respect, you know, I'm almost kind of glad that it did happen. So I think if they would have just, said, oh, you know, Randy, you're good. Okay, you're just not what we need right now. It wouldn't have pushed me to do what I'm doing today and being as a successful business person, successful tattoo artist as I am. So, you know, there's going to be a lot of people that say, oh, you know, you hate Chris Nunez. I sure did, but not anymore. You know, he does his own thing and I do my own thing, you know. Only thing I will say this, the only thing that I wish would have happened was during the critiques, you know, Oliver started most of the time and giving an actual critique. Okay, your lines aren't this, whatever. It always seemed like Chris would say, well, like Oliver said, and kind of repeat the same stuff. So I don't feel like, you know, again, it's probably coming from the control room, you know, what he's supposed to say. But I would have liked to have seen his actual real interpretation of it, not just going off of what Oliver Peck said.
Ooh. And speaking of Oliver, we're moving to the judges.
You know, he is great at his style, the American traditional, but there's no way that I think that he should be able to judge every aspect of a tattoo. If that's the one thing that you do, and if you're not a well-rounded tattoo artist, at least as far as I know, maybe he's changed it up, but 8 years ago, that's what he was known for, is American traditional. So that's what you concentrate on. That's what you're good at. How are you going to, you know, judge somebody who's doing something that's photorealistic, you know? But again, they had Dave Navarro doing it, and he wasn't even a tattooer. So, you know, so yeah, you know, bringing up Dave, I know that's the next kind of question that you're going to go for.
You got it right.
So Dave, to me, is the weirdo. I don't care for him at all whatsoever. The little interactions that I've had, I did not care for him whatsoever. You know, and he was trying to base it off of, you know, his decisions based on, I'm coming from the client aspect. I'm sorry, I don't have many rock star clients that have millions of dollars and they can get tattoos by anyone in the world, and still have shitty tattoos. So, like, he's not representing the average client. He's just being, you know, the douchebag that he is. So I shouldn't even say that. That's rude. I did not like the way that he treated me, even when the cameras were off and, you know, nobody else was around here. So, you know, they don't know what he said, and I'm not going to go into detail about that. But it wasn't a nice individual. So, whether that's coming from the control room or whether that's coming from his own personality, I know he's got a lot more leeway than the other judges do. So I believe that a lot of it is coming directly from him and not from the control room. So, you know, I could do without him. So.
Wow. And the last one is.
Oh yeah, Chris. Well, you know what? He's a personality. You know, he is, he's a TV guy, you know, and I think that he was told to act the way that he was acting in order to stay on the show. And, you know, he did what he needed to do. Again, I don't wish him any ill will, because if it wasn't for the fact that he was so rude to me and things like that, that I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So I have to give him credit for that, for sure.
And my last question is, what made you say, by the way, Nunez, my boyfriend don't think you're cute?
Oh. So I get that a lot. Okay. And basically I have to backtrack a little bit. So in the the challenge where I drew out the picture, and then Maddie and Dave did the tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting there watching them do the tattoos, and Nunez was kind of right next to me, standing. And I was just trying to be polite to him, and I told him, hey, I just wanted to let you know my boyfriend thought you were cute on Miami Ink. And that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of like grumbled and walked away. I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe he doesn't want to talk. Maybe he's busy, whatever. So during that, when I was being critiqued, so they actually tell you, hey, you don't have what it takes to be Ink Master.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then it cuts. Well, then they start to ask you other questions. After you're being, you know that you're being eliminated, whatever, they start asking you questions. And they use these questions to go back into your other critique, you know, which is bullshit to begin with, right? But he kept saying things like, you know, why didn't you have a formal apprenticeship?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I was 30 years old. I was coming from a law firms, and I was gay, and living in Detroit, not a lot of people would have you even work in a shop, let alone would be willing to apprentice you. So that's what I had said. Now they used that as part of my critique when they were originally critiquing
Mm-hmm.
that seascape or whatever. So just let your fans know that that's not, I was not making an excuse as far as that. But he kept cutting me off every time he would ask me a question. Why didn't you have it? You know, why don't you just give up tattooing? And he said some really like personal things to me that I didn't really care for. But every time I would try to answer his questions, they would cut me off. And it would get to the point that even Bubba, you know, stood up and said, hey, why don't you guys just let the guy answer, you know? Well, by that time I was frustrated. They wanted that reaction from me. So finally what I told him was, hey, my boyfriend, you know, I said, fine. And I decided to leave. I said, my boyfriend really didn't think you were cute. He actually thought you were an asshole. Of course, they cut that part out of it, you know, because the judges can do no wrong, right? So, and then I got my shit and I left, and you know, they got what they wanted. They wanted a strong reaction from me.
Mm-hmm.
Have the biggest send off. They still show that shit and air it all the time, which is, you know, it's my fault for actually saying it. I should have just walked off politely. Totally my fault. But it was based on conversations that we had previous that were not aired.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, and then I left. So, you know, again, today's theme was, it is what it is. I don't give a shit. Like, you know, yeah, it happened. So be it. You know, if people don't like me for it, they can kick rocks. I'm tired of like living under this shadow. So, you know, it is what it is. So
Yep. And wow, I need to take a moment.
I'm very philosophical these days. The older I get, the more I'm like, I don't give a shit. I become a little crazy, man. You know.
And I think that's the best attitude to have, you know, to not care about anything and just focus, be positive.
Right. Yeah. They don't pay my bills. I pay my own bills. Yeah. Exactly. You know. So yeah. Speaking of, you know, we were talking about the expansion. So 2 weeks in the whole, we're going to triple our size, almost triple our size at the shop.
Wow.
And this, you know, this isn't from Ink Master. This is from working hard and doing good tattoos and stuff like that. So for your people out there that are listening, you know, if you work hard enough, you get to play hard, you know, and you get to, you know, be able to afford the things that you want to do, expand, and have some really good people that work for you. And yeah, so things are going really well for me. I can't complain whatsoever. I feel very blessed.
That's what's up. Are you in your shop right now?
I am. I'm just sitting in my office.
Can you get
I had to move the piercing. I had to move the piercing room in here because we're adding another piercing station to the other side, but it's not done yet.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so we have that, and actually I can show you really quick the shop itself. I'm gonna flip this around. I'm gonna use some crazy
the fans on YouTube is going to watch this forever, and they're going to guys, look at this.
So we have this.
Yep, go ahead. Yep.
And then, so we have 4 stations right now, and then we're actually, that's the front counter, but that's going to be moved. Mm-hmm. This is, we're actually expanding. This is the expansion. So
wow.
We can come here, and we'll have 4 more stations, a piercing room, and a break room. So it's 2 weeks, it'll be done. We got to do the floors, we got to paint the ceiling. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Wow.
Working hard, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So actually, so this is funny. I'm going to do this real quick. That was my newest, this is my newest toy that I picked up about 3 weeks ago. And yesterday.
Look at this, Chris Nunez.
Actually, I just had the Lambo doors put on it last night. So, but yeah, anyways, like I said, I feel very blessed. I'm not bragging, but I have worked hard, especially over these last 8 years, to get where I am.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, so, and again, I owe that to Nunez and his shitty attitude towards me. You know. So.
I like the lights that you have there. The spiral. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They're kind of, well, there's one in here. Actually, if you look up here, you can see the space, the sky.
Oh my goodness.
The night sky. But yeah, out, let me see if you can see them. Out there are the kind of crazy looking lights.
Mm-hmm. The spiral.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That's a nice job.
Thank you. Thanks. Mm-hmm. I can't wait for it to the grand reopening.
Uh-huh.
You know, get the rest of it done.
Yeah, and I'll definitely put the link in the bottom of YouTube video so that they could see this.
Right.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So again, if you work hard, you can play hard. You know, I worked really hard over the last 8 years. So.
Wow! Congrats.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks.
So now your future expansion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, I'm set now. So I can't complain. We have some more in the works, some other locations in the works right now as well. So we'll see.
Well, Randy, I have no more questions for you.
Oh, okay.
You did good. Oh my goodness. A lot of questions, even with the. By the way, Nunez, my boyfriend don't think you're cute. Thing, right, that happened in the show. Mm-hmm. I think it's production manipulation.
Well, unfortunately, and I hate to say that because fans of the show want it to be very real, but in my experience, it wasn't very real from my perspective, I guess. So maybe from other people's, that's one thing, but from mine, it was a lot of we had production staff. You had staff like that would coach the canvases. One of my clients or one of my canvases, he wanted a realistic eyeball right in the palm of his hand, which is just not going to happen. But they said, oh, you need to make sure it happens. Now, this guy was covered in head to toe with American traditional tattoos. American traditional, I mean, they were really good looking tattoos. So he knew a lot about tattooing and what could and could not be done. But, he even said the production staff wanted me to fuck with you. So that's why I said to put it on my hand, So, yeah, I mean, it's not all real. I guess the worst part about it is just the way that they treated us. Like, they had no compassion for any people that were on the show, which is a little disheartening,
Wow.
So.
Mind blown.
So,
Oh my god.
yeah. Is there any other questions? Any tidbits?
Well, that's the only one I have. And could you please just tell me, Raymond, my boyfriend don't think you're cute.
Hey, Raymond. By the way, my boyfriend does not think you're cute. He thinks you're an asshole.
Oh!
I'm just kidding.
Then
I'm
walk
just
away.
kidding. Right.
Oh
Then snap and walk off the set. Right.
Oh my.
So,
Well, Randy, this was fun. I had fun talking about Ink Master down memory lane and talking about your new shop expansion.
thank you. I appreciate you contacting me. It
Mm-hmm.
was good for me too. It wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be.
Yes. And it's going to be on my YouTube channel, and people and fans would enjoy it in the future. You know, if they watch Ink Master again.
Sure.
And anything you want to say before we leave?
No, I just thanks for contacting me. Thanks to anybody out there that's watched the show and was rooting for me. There was lots of people, and you know, hopefully this gave you a little bit of insight of how it actually was, and you know, just keep watching it, and you know, who knows? Maybe one of those seasons I might be back on it. I doubt it, but you never know.
Cross fingers.
Right, right. All right. You guys have a great day.
Thank
And
you, Andy.
all right, take care.
Great day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye.
Okay, guys, this is going to my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and tag other Ink Master contestants to do an interview with me, right? Thank you, guys. Love ya.